Hey everybody, if you have ever wondered how to bring live score data into your game streams, into your live sports streams, this is the episode for you. We're going to be diving into it. I'm also going to be talking about the latest and greatest update to the best live streaming software ever, Wirecast 7.4, and what that means for you. Stay tuned. This is Wirecast Live. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Wirecast Live. I'm your host, Andrew Haley. This, as you know, we do a live show here from the Wirecast headquarters at Telestream every Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time out here in California. And you who have been watching the show know this, but we always try to bring on guests, special people that know more than we do about certain topics. We know a lot about Wirecast. We know about a lot of live streaming. This is a great place you can come to learn about those things. And every episode, will give you a hands-on tutorial so you can learn more about the software that we make here. And you can ask questions. You can hang out if you have problems. We rarely have time to dive into deep technical issues. Usually I'll refer you to support for that. But for quick questions or tips or how do you do this or what do you do, this is the place to show up. And hopefully, if you're ever curious about live streaming to Facebook or any of the platforms that Wirecast works with, you can join us here every week, and I will be happy to hang out with you and take your questions and comments. If you do have a question or comment, tweet at us with hashtag WirecastLive. We can throw that on the screen. We are streaming to multiple platforms, so that's the best way for everybody to see the comment or the question that you are tweeting in. So definitely use that hashtag if you get a second, and I'll get that. We do have an exciting show for you today. It's all about how to bring in live score data into your Wirecast streams. There's a really cool device out there made by our friends over at Sportzcast. And I'm going to be interviewing Mike Connell, the founder and CEO of Sportscast, and talking all about their product called the Sportsbot, on how that works and what we do. I also have some announcements I'm going to go over in just a second. We'll bring Mike on, but first I have some announcements I want to let you guys know about. We have, obviously, we've just launched Wirecast 7.4. That update came out on Monday. There's a video that you can watch that gives you a kind of a brief overview, but I'm going to be going more in depth today. So definitely stay tuned at the end of the episode for that. If we have time, we can even talk a little bit about scores and clocks and so forth, which, you know, if you have questions after the interview with Mike, then we can dive into that if there's some time. We also have next week Travis White from New Blue Effects. New Blue is a great partner of ours, and they produce this live titling and graphics and 3D graphics software that comes bundled with Wirecast 7. And then you can upgrade to more advanced versions. And so if you want to know all about how to create professional 3D graphics for your streams, Travis and I are going to be diving into it next week. Travis is great, and you will learn so much about how to create social media bumpers, how we do titles and graphics like the ones you're seeing on screen right now, and even more, how to create sub-screens and create whole playlists of graphics that you can use in your live shows. And Travis is actually going to be making those available, so as he shows you how he builds them, you can download them and use them in your own Wirecast workflows and your own live streams. So you'll definitely want to tune in next week for that. And after that, the following Thursday, March 16th, we have a fantastic guest, Mari Smith, the queen of Facebook, and we are going to be talking all about how to most effectively use Facebook Live. Nobody knows more about that than Mari, so you're going to want to tune in for that show. So we have some really good shows coming up. Definitely want to see you guys back here every Thursday live. If you missed the show, we always post it on YouTube, and it's, of course, you can get the raw version on our Facebook video archive. Okay. Besides that, we also have some webinars I want to let you know about. On March 9th, we'll be doing a ScreenFlow webinar, and that is going to be all about how to create effective video sales letters. If you are in the business of business and you need to sell a product or let other people know about it, create a video. There's no more effective way then to use video to leverage that sales process and create that top of funnel awareness and conversion asset stuff. So if you are at all curious about how video can help you boost your business, boost your sales, or create an effective video that helps people let you know about their product, or help you let people know about your product, why it's interesting and relevant, and where they can get more information or get a download or a sample, you will want to check out that webinar with Lucas, March 9th, 11 a.m. Right here, you can register at telestream.net/events. All right, I think that's all the announcements I have for you for the moment. Let's, without further ado, bring on Mike Connell, founder and CEO of Sportzcast. Mike, are you there?
I am here. Good afternoon, Andrew.
Good afternoon or good evening. You're out East Coast time?
On the East Coast here in Central Florida.
Well, I appreciate you staying up late, or staying still at the office and joining us for this live stream. You're definitely a welcome sight on this show, because I know people are always curious about bringing in live sports data. They usually have to do it manually, but you have figured out a way to hack these old scoreboard systems and get all the data out and then produce it digitally on the screen, right?
Right, that is correct.
So tell me a little bit about, the company. When did you guys start? How did you get started? When was that? A little bit of background about you guys.
Well, the company actually, the concept started back around the year 2000, and typically good things start extremely small and find a niche. So this evolved around my kids actually all participated in high school sports, and the internet was starting to stream, and was like, well, wow, we want to look like ESPN and the big networks. So we started researching just how to do that. In the process of travel ball and traveling the country and seeing literally every scoreboard out there, I got curious, well, how do these things work? So in working with the scoreboard companies and getting the protocol, we put together a library and made all of this possible. Roughly 2008, we started Sportscast, or actually there was a predecessor company that we've kind of evolved since then and gone through some, quite a bit of growth. So 2008 was the official start to where we are today. So we've constantly been growing. We're in about 1,200 different venues that currently use our services and products.
Nice. That's quite a story. So really got kicked off about 2003, you said, and today, 13 years later, you've got over 1,200 venues. Do you have specific sports or specific, ones that you focus on? Obviously, the big American ones, but are there some ones that you wouldn't have thought that you would be doing that you're doing these days?
Absolutely. In general, our philosophy is if there is an electronic scoreboard that's storing the data, then we'll hook into it and provide that. So, all the obvious, the football, soccer, baseball, basketball, of course, all that's covered. But we've done some very interesting ones, snooker, cricket, billiards. We've got some inquiries in recently for rodeo. So if there's data for it, we'll connect to it and make overlays for it.
Well, so I see there on the desk you've got some of the products that help you do that. Your famous one is called, your main one's called the Scorebot, right? So the Scorebot is the device, and I'm sure you've gone through multiple versions. Yeah, I see right there. The Scorebot's right on the desk there. So those hook into the scoreboard, and they translate that scoreboard electronic data signal and then send it to you guys out to your servers. Basically, they need to historically connected to the internet, and you just, as long as you hook to the scoreboard, hook to the internet, you guys would kind of take all that data and parse it, and then resend it down to the person who you needed to display it on something, right?
Well, that's partially correct. That is how we got started. Just to drop back and just say what is here on the desk. This is probably the most popular scoreboard controller in the world. It's what most of the users are going to see when they walk in their gym or arena.
I remember that when I was a basketball coach, we used exactly that model.
So there's, this one's Daktronics, but I'll quickly, Daktronics, All-American, Antec, Bodette, Electromech, many versions of Fairplay, Nevco, OES, Varsity, and Spectrum. And if you find a new one, please let us know because we interface to it, and that's no charge to the customer. The data that comes out of the back of the scoreboard controller, or sometimes actually out of the back of the scoreboard itself, or a couple instances actually wirelessly right out of the air, that data goes into one of these Scorebots, which we've got really, I wouldn't call it 4 generations, but it's 4 different applications. Now, you did mention the internet connectivity and the processing in the cloud. Mm-hmm. And that's certainly one of our workflows, but by no means that's the only way. That is how we got started. That's what this little device here does. It takes the scoreboard data, pushes it up to the internet, and then makes it available, back to the venue. But additionally, it's also available anywhere in the world. Now, some people, or the first question is, well, does that put delay in my data? Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely, but it's internet round trip times. It's typically under 100 milliseconds. And with the frame delay, then in the video processing, we're almost dead on bringing it back there. Mm-hmm. One of the advantages of having it up there, the scores are available for remote production, which is becoming a really big thing. We can, people are shooting their video in one city and doing commercial inserts and graphics in other cities. So right. Having data available, that's
pretty
a big thing.
That is a big deal.
The 2 of our newer products that are out here, and I'll talk about this the new one here that's coming up at NAB, they do not rely on the internet. Those are total local connections. So if the data goes from the scoreboard to either one of these 2 devices, that goes directly into the graphic system. Mm-hmm. So what's actually, this device here is running. I doubt if the camera can pick it up, but if
we're seeing it, but not the screen there.
The screen, well, that green screen on our device, the clock is actually in there for some confidence. It should be matching the green screen in here, mm-hmm. and then that should be matching the
what's on the screen on Scoreboard,
right there. So that is all a total local connection that's not leaving the office here.
Wow, so no internet involved there at all except for what people see on the final output. And just so you know there, folks, Mike is running a copy of Wirecast on his laptop there, and he's got his Scorebot plugged into that scoreboard controller, and then that data is coming right into NewBlue, the graphics software that's generating those graphics titles. And if you have Wirecast, you have access to NewBlue software. You have to have at least the advanced version, I believe. If you don't have the advanced version, that's meant for sports. That's what allows you to bring in any Scorebot data into NewBlue. And NewBlue will just plug it right in. You can either make your own scoreboards, or there's actually ones they've already made that are available. And that one right there is one of the pre-generated ones in Wirecast and NewBlue, right?
Right, that is correct. NewBlue supplies quite a library of pre-made graphics, but they're totally customizable. I should point out, Sportzcast is purely a data company. We do provide the hardware, but we provide that scoreboard data. NewBlue is a very important partner where they take the data and they make the graphics, the plug-in that's actually running here. Mm-hmm. So Sportscast, we used to have our own graphic systems. We ended life them, and we've started working with NewBlue. It's a great coincidence that next week you're going to have Travis White from NewBlue, and he'll be around to pick and answer the real specific questions. Well, how do I make a template, or how do I change this look of Wirecast or the score, the 18, the fonts? You can get into all that customization.
Yeah, and actually I can kind of show folks on screen here just how that might look. So let me cut to that real fast, and then I want to show you basically what Mike had to do this. It's actually really easy. So once your Scorebot's hooked in, you're going to just head over, and if you have the correct New Blue license, if you've downloaded that software, and updated it, you'll see TitleRive just pop up on your screen, right? As a source, right? So you'll open that. Wirecast is going to ask you, what do you want to call it? We can call it whatever we want, but you can call it Scoreboard. Or it could be a whole playlist, a whole bunch of different titles. Doesn't really matter. And that'll launch TitleRive, right? This is where you manage any of the titles. And if you have the sports pack, or if you have the sports collection, the advanced version, just click on the sport that you want, and New Blue's already organized the scoreboards that they have ready, right? So this is a basketball game that you've got, a basketball controller, I think, over there, right, Mike?
Yes.
So right here, you just see what they already have. Now, all of these we could make our own. We could customize any of these. It doesn't really matter how we decide to do it, but I think we have the Sportscast one right here. So there it is. And let's just pull that in.
Well, why don't you get a fancy one?
A fancy one, huh? Okay. I could do one of the fancy piston Texel. I also like this Louvre one. This is kind of cool. Kind of reminds me of like Aztec sort of style. All right, so I'm going to drag that down. So now I've got a couple different scoreboards. Doesn't really matter which one I want to use. I could use them all, use them both. I can change the colors. If I have team colors, New Blue makes that super easy. They just tell you could pick your own color. So we could change that to all green, right? And there we go. Team 1 and Team 2 could be, I don't know. We could make it purple. And hit OK. And there you go. So we've changed the color of the team names. We could change the rest of it too if we want. We can change our logos. You just point it to a different logo. They make it really easy. But then all you need to do to hook it up to the Scorebot, once you've decided, is you go over to the input behavior right here, right? Select input and choose Scorebot. Now you're just choosing Scorebot football, Scorebot basketball, Scorebot hockey, so forth. So I guess this is where you might see a little bit of a limitation on the sports, right, Mike?
Well, actually, there's, I hope I'm not stealing New Blue's thunder, but it is data-based, so they're looking at ways of mapping any data into any sport. So, often basketball scoreboard is used for hockey, or not hockey, for volleyball. So it might be points and digs, and so you can remap it so you're not just seeing a basketball. You could design a volleyball scoreboard, bring in the basketball data, and remap it and make that work.
That's great. Yeah, so I don't know if if we missed that, but basically I just it popped up a window, told me what Scorebot do I want to connect to, what's my Scorebot license. I just hit OK, and you can see now I've got a real-time feed of Mike's. So Mike, my clock's reading 79 minutes and 6 seconds now, and the score is currently 10-18.
Well, I wonder if you imagine that. So, some of I'm sure you could get real fancy and maybe put a split screen, but keep in mind this scoreboard is in Central Florida, where my feed's coming from. You're out there in California, and if you split it, I'd say you'd definitely be under 200 milliseconds, probably less.
Yeah, it's like I'd love to. Maybe we could zoom in on your. On the green screen on the Daktronics scoreboard there, but that is pretty cool. And one thing here, nice thing about this that New Blue again makes it really easy. You can resize your scoreboards right in the preview area, so you can make them as large as you want. Okay. And there you go. So you can make them as large as you want. There we go. Nice. Okay, too close. Back up a little bit. We had it. We're going to go back a little. There we go. So, yeah, 77:55. That's what I'm showing on my screen right here.
Well, forgive the focus here.
No, it's fine. That was great. So you can see it's totally matching the one that's on my computer here in California. And that is really cool. That's coming straight from that old, 80s style control board. Daktronics had to have updated that by now. But when was that? When was that model coming out?
Shipping today.
I'm sorry. Say that again. Okay, he's readjusting his camera there. So
I apologize. I have to pretend to be talent and camera operator here all at
no
once.
problem, no problem. We'll have to get you a PTZ optics camera, then you can just use the remote control.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Well, one question I'd like to answer is I do have these 4 of them up here on the table, and I'm going to kind of briefly run through each one. And like, well, why would a customer want one over the other?
Yeah, it's a good question. So talk about, you've got one that connects, the one that you showed, it does internet, does a lot of stuff, but you've also got ones that go local. Can you explain a little bit about the difference?
Sure. So this was our original one down here, the Scorebot. We're calling it our 1000 series. It does require the internet to work. This is the one that sends the data up to our server and receives it back into any of the graphics programs. Mm-hmm. The only minor limitation with this is when a customer orders it, we want to know what kind of scoreboard manufacturer he has. So is it Daktronics or Fairplay or Electromech, or just who is the vendor? Because we're going to ship them a cable that's going to match up with that, and we're going to put that software inside of this device. So if your school or campus is all Daktronics or all Fairplay, which typically is the case, it's pretty rare when you split them up. They could still move that around the campus. This box here has been out about, I guess, almost 2 years. And it came about to address the need of people that didn't have the internet, didn't want to have to rely on the internet, and also have flexibility to connect to any scoreboard out there. So if you can, I don't know if you can tell, but there's several different connectors here on the front.
Right. It's kind of your all-in-one.
Right. So the Daktronics that we're running here right now is coming in on the typical 1/4-inch foam plug we all know. Mm-hmm. If you're, I guess this is showing up. If you're a Nevco, that comes in on B and C. If you're OES and Fairplay and All American, many of the others, that comes in on one of the DB9 connectors.
Okay.
So it's just the plug-in, the interface is pretty simple to hook up to.
You're telling me the government never regulated scoreboard connectors and forced all the manufacturers to have the same data standards and data connectors?
You would think, but no 2 vendors have the same protocol.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common in the tech industry.
They're all the computer and the tech, we have serial and USB, but
right.
These interfaces are different. So the Ethernet connector, which is how we're actually feeding it, is coming out. There's one other very special feature in this, and when this was created, is we had a lot of high schools that wanted to do score reporting. But many of the high schools, actually we found out most of them do not have internet connectivity out in their press box. It's in the schools. So inside of this box, there's also a cell modem. So it transmits the scores up to the internet via the cell network. One of the things Sportzcast operates is a score reporting network. So any of the scores that are up on the network are available to pull back down to run mobile apps, to do score reporting, to get it to the newspapers, to put up a little widget on your web page so your school can see what.
So even if you're not involved at all in the production or the getting the score for that, you guys actually, you can subscribe to get updates from whatever the games were. So if you're a local newspaper, radio station, subscribe to the score reporting network, and you can instantly know any of the games that the Scorebots were involved in. You'll know all the scores.
That is correct. And there are many areas or districts where, at least in the high schools, there's pretty heavy penetration. So if you go on to the iTunes store or the Android Google store, there's a Sportscast app where you can download and look at the scoreboard data there. Mm-hmm. What's unique about it, there's a lot of score reporting apps we've seen. It's like, okay, the end of the first quarter, it's 7-0. This reports everything that's on the scoreboard real time. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, I've seen people literally watch a football game because it's down in distance and possession. Okay, now it's 4th and 1. Are they going to go for it? And then you see it flip to first down because mm-hmm. It's true real time data.
That's cool.
Just like we're seeing on the screen. Mm-hmm. the little box here is really just for score reporting. It doesn't have any connections at all other than the plug into the scoreboard. It's a cell network to bring the scores back purely for score reporting. So there is no play in graphics or doing any kind of titling.
Okay, so that's just your most basic. Just give me the results.
Yeah. It velcros on the top, transmits all the scores back to us via the cell modem inside it.
Interesting. So, are you finding that obviously high school, college probably are your wheelhouses, but what about more professional organizations, larger scale? Are you finding that scoreboards are the same no matter where you go? So whether it's a farm team for the Yankees or something like that, the Scorebot's just as useful to them as it is to say the high school winning in a third division football team.
Well, the actual hardware, the controller, like this Daktronics here, you'll find that in Yankee Stadium or the Georgia Dome or the big major venues. You'll also find it in the high schools. So we are in a few of the pro stadiums. However, if you are a pro stadium, they typically have already
figured that out.
Right. The NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball have their own internal network and wire it back to do their own. So, and this has existed since networking came about. Actually, in the old days, if there's anybody old enough to remember the dial-up modems that buzzed and made that noise, that's how that started. And it gave us a lot of the ideas to take that technology for the pro stadiums, and we're all the way down to the parks and rec leagues now.
That's so cool. So I wonder if anyone has any questions, they're welcome to ask Mike. If you see anything that's piqued your curiosity here, please feel free to tweet or just leave us a comment, and we can take those. I'm going to just scan through those now. So we got a question about how do we make Skype audio so good? Well, we do that. First of all, the quality of the microphone is important, and then of course bandwidth is also important. We use the Skype TX network, so that's a really good way to do calls. There's some issues occasionally with that because it's not like a standard Skype account. You need a Skype box or something like that piece of hardware that connects in, but that is definitely part of our secret sauce here. Our not-so-secret sauce. We got questions about us on YouTube. Let's check Facebook. Facebook question. This one from Chad. Is the quarter-inch input for Daktronics a current loop? A current loop input or an RS-232 input?
Okay. It is close to a current loop input. Daktronics and Electromech use what I'd call a quasi current loop interface. It's neither one is absolutely compliant to the letter of the spec, but yes, that's pretty much what the quarter inch on DAC and Electromech is.
How hard was it for you to start figuring this out? I mean, like, you've worked with obviously all the manufacturers that you can find and all the major ones out there, and I mean, were you kind of reverse engineering what they did and trying to figure all that out? How much help did you get from the actual manufacturers?
Well, many of the manufacturers were very helpful, and even today will provide very detailed protocol documents. But when you get them and look at them, the actual data presented, even though they give you the protocol, like you would think, well, is the clock 30 minutes? You'd see a 30-minute text string, and some of them are coded in literally in 7-segment readouts, and others are just a very strange binary form. So there's been plugging in the data, looking at what's there, but I'd say most of the manufacturers have been very helpful to make this work.
That's good. Are you finding so sometimes you're having to sort of decode, right, and just kind of go, all right, they said one thing, or it doesn't quite match what we're seeing here. So you kind of need to figure out how the scoreboard is actually sending you information and kind of figure out a way to reverse engineer that.
Yep, and it's actually, I'd say, more of an reverse engineering may have some negative things, but we've turned it into a positive. And for a good example is when somebody looks at the scoreboard, it says 1st and 10. Well, the scoreboard doesn't put 1 ST, it just puts out a 1, and it leaves it up to somebody else to fill that in. So our software and algorithms allow the user to do character reassignments. 1 is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and so on. It can go as complex as, say, the foul board on a basketball. Number 56 has 3 fouls. Well, number 56 could be, Joe Smith, and so you're actually putting up his name instead of his jersey number.
Got it.
So that's a very powerful tool to, what data comes in can get remapped to something else.
What are you finding is some of the biggest challenges right now for you guys in terms of, have you figured out most of it? Is there anything you're really still wanting to tackle?
I'd say we're in the U.S. we're at 98, 99%. There's a couple of them out there we haven't done, not because we don't know how, it's just market share. As a customer comes along and wants it, we can add it in. It's this device especially, and I kind of left this one out, I'll come back to, is kind of an open source decode anything type of a device. So this is kind of the evolution to decode any kind of data. Incidentally, we started in Scoreboards. We actually had a call from a hospital doing teaching in an operating room, medical telemetry. And they didn't want the scoreboard up, patient 1, doctor 2, or you hope it's the other way around, maybe. They wanted us to tie into the blood gas, the patient biometrics, all of this equipment that has data from I think there was the blood gas, the EKG, all this information that's happening, we bring into a data stream and then produce overlays for the video.
Oh wow!
So as you're watching an operation in progress, you literally see the cause and effect in real time with all the biometrics being presented on there.
Oh my!
So we looked at other ways to tie into that.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't even consider that. That's really interesting. So now you can expand beyond just the sports arena and take all kinds of electronic data and information being produced.
Right, and embed that data. So it's beginning of March here, and we all know this big little television event that happens in Vegas, and I guess, goodness, about 6 weeks now, and I know Telestream is very busy, and so are we. The couple big announcements that's going to be coming out, and one of them is we're enabling marrying the metadata to the video for sports production. So people are like, well, what do you do with that? So if you would imagine you shoot a live video of a sporting event.
Mike, I'm getting a little crackle on your microphone. Maybe it's rubbing on your shirt there. Just wanted to there you go.
Okay,
Perfect.
hope that's better.
That's better.
So, recording a game, say a football game, and you have a data track with the scoreboard. So for any of the video editors out there doing post-production, you have the audio track, you have the video track. Well, now you're going to have the scoreboard track, which is parsed out into plays. So the start and end of every play, and here's the touchdown, here's all the plays in the red zone. So it's going to really quickly speed that up.
That's nice.
For editing.
That's
so
pretty cool.
Our partners over at JVC are going to be adding that into their camera.
Okay. So the camera will basically take the feed from the Scorebot, that data, and just embed it inside the container file.
Right. So you
Okay.
pull that SD card out and you have that information.
And then if there's a plugin or something for Adobe or a nonlinear editor, it will just instantly should catch right up.
you'll see that and just tie into your editor.
So I could see that being partnered with sort of like IBM's Watson or something, and suddenly a smart AI or something being able to quickly read through that, chop out the plays. Pretty soon, you're not even editing. The computer can do most of the cuts and edits as needed for the most part. That would be pretty cool.
Well, and for broadcasters or Telestreams has video encoders that go into recording, so we feed those data tracks.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I think we should talk more about that, because that would certainly be something to talk about, because things like our Vantage social media connector, which can publish quick clips of whatever to social media, could easily take those inputs and publish the highlights or plays or whatever quickly and package them and get them ready for delivery wherever they need to go.
Yeah, it's a good point. Your team scores a touchdown. We know the ins and outs of when it happened, and immediately it gets packaged up and it's sent out to all the social media outlets.
Nice. Well, pretty exciting stuff, Mike. It's expanding beyond just your kids' high school games here. Pretty fast. It's going to just data in general and anything to do with sports and reporting. That's pretty neat.
Yep.
Well, Mike, it's been a pleasure. I really look forward to seeing you out at NAB and demoing, some of your products out there in the Wirecast booth, and showing folks what you all can do, because it's only getting more and more exciting.
All right. Well, thank you, Andrew, for having us here. I hope to come by and see you at your booth. Sportscast will also be out there, and I'm supposed to know these things. South Hall Upper 7313, I believe.
Oh, wow. You already memorized your booth number. I'm not that far ahead yet, but we'll be announcing that on further shows. That was very good. We will be in South Hall as well, South Hall Lower. So we'll see you out there, Mike. And thanks again for coming on the show. This has been really fun.
All right. Thanks again. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. We'll have you on again.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Hey.
So, folks, that was Mike Connell from Sportscast. And as you can see, when you start thinking about it, what they're doing out there, just really the implications are much broader than a high school football game, but start to go to any type of data that is related to a video stream or to even just any sort of live event where that is being recorded. And when you marry that with either on-screen displays, or whether it's just sort of an other sort of parallel piece of information that helps you sort of time code and log significant events, pretty neat indeed. So if you're curious about Sportscast and everything they do, or if you want to check out the Sportsbots, maybe get one for yourselves or your own live games or live streams, you should check them out at sportscast.net. That's Sportscast with a Z. SPORTZ cast.net, and I'm sure they'll be happy to get you started. All right, that aside, I think it's time to talk about our newest update for Wirecast, Wirecast 7.4, new features, what's new, what do you need to know, and how does it work? So I will be launching into that. If you have a question, you want to tweet at us, just put it on the screen. We can take that. I'll be happy to discuss that. And we will, I'm going to give you a little bit more of an in-depth tour of how this works. We did do some bug fixes. There's been a lot of changes with that. So, we obviously are always improving the product and wanting to make it as good as we can. But in general, I'm just going to pull up my mouse display here, and I'm going to just take my cursor size up so you can see a little better. Super big cursor. All right, so I have a Wirecast document open here, and I'm going to show you how to connect to our Facebook Live. That was one of the main things we did, was we added Facebook Live scheduling, which is a really, really cool new feature. That is probably the biggest one that we did. Everything else kind of comes down to little fixes, little tweaks here and there. But the Facebook Live scheduling you can find just by going to your Facebook Live destination. If I can read alphabetically here. And we sort of redesigned this whole interface. It looks a little different than you might remember it if you were using 7.3 recently. And I'm going to go down and talk about some of the changes. So first is, this hasn't changed. You can still configure your destination name up here at the top. You can also go and do a, the destination. That would be if you wanted to change it from Facebook. We're not doing that in this case. Here's obviously your encoding settings. Facebook by default limits you to 720, either 30 or 60 frames a second. And in our case, we have two types of encoders, ways to encode the stream. One is with the built-in Apple H.264, which is really an Intel encoding chip that's in the computer that I have, or the X264, which uses the CPU. The difference mainly is this is more software encoding. This is hardware encoding. This is sort of dumber, but it uses much fewer resources because it's using hardware on your computer. This is software, and it can make on-the-fly intelligent decisions and can give you generally better results at a lower stream rate. So we're going to start with this for now, but either one is honestly fine. And then you can go to our schedule versus our schedule live. This isn't going to help until I authenticate, so I should authenticate first. There we go. It remembered me from my previous time I logged in, but make sure you log in. Now, if you did it correctly, you should see a list of, you should see your name, your username at the top here, as well as any pages and profiles that you may have access to. So you also have profiles, groups, and then we also have events. Right? So we're going to go back to our page here, and let's assume for a second we want to stream. Actually, I've got this Facebook user group. I'm going to try that for now. So Wirecast users, if you're curious, you can join that Facebook group. It's a Wirecast user Facebook group that I started not too long ago, and we can stream to that group anything we want at this point. We can also schedule a stream. So we can go live right now, just as we have been. We can start a title and description and so forth. Or with the new scheduling tool, we can schedule a stream for later. You'll see a pop-up appear, and that's going to give you up to a week's worth of, in advance in terms of the time that you can schedule. So we could schedule for next Thursday, a stream, and let's say 11 a.m. Now, you're going to do the same thing at this point that you've done before. So my next Thursday stream. And I often recommend copying and pasting that description or that title right into the description field. The description often is the first thing people will see on Facebook. I have it at 1 a.m. Let's do that 11. All right. Hit OK. All right, next up, we can, basically, when we're ready, we can schedule it. If you want to change, you can add a place tag to it if you like. You don't have to. You can also do an advanced options here, and you can see if you were to do branded content or so forth. Some of these will be grayed out depending on what you're allowed, where you're streaming. So if you, for example, are streaming to a page or a profile, you may get different advanced options available to you. In this case, because I'm streaming to an event, I can't change it to an ambient stream, and I can't change it to a sponsored tag at this point. It has to be shared into the group in order to do that. Also, the group isn't really a verified destination, so you can't use sponsored content for that. So there we go. I also can't necessarily do the places or where I'm doing that. But so depending on what you have available, that's where you're going to be able to. Now you can schedule it. And it's going to pop up a warning saying you've basically, or your notification, you've scheduled for a week in advance. You can verify the feed at least 20 minutes before your scheduled time. If you're not broadcasting within 10 minutes of your start time, your stream may be canceled. So keep in mind to try to stay on your clock and be ready to go. But that's basically published the destination. And if we head over to Facebook, I can jump in to, I'm going to go to Facebook here. Let's check out my pages or groups here. So I'm going to head over to groups. If I jump into my Wirecast group, hold on. Let me go back to more. Should have groups here. I've got my Wirecast users group right here. And you can see right there, there is the reminder that I'll be live on March 9th at 11 a.m. Now, this is actually the same time the ScreenFlow webinar will be occurring, so I won't be live then. But this is to give you an example. This can be subscribed to. Lutz is already there leaving comments, so yep. We should do some private streams to the Facebook group. I think that would be a fun thing to do. But in the meantime, we're going to, at this point you can get a reminder if you're follow anyone in that group clicks on the link, it'll let them know exactly when they're live, which is a really great way. You can also start sharing out the link and so forth. So it's a great way to do that. You can do all kinds of stuff. So save post, you can pin the post to the top. You can edit the post if there's anything you want to do in terms of the description. And then at a certain point, I think you can start adding thumbnails to events, although that is not something that I can show you here because it's not one that I've been able to figure out how to do with scheduled events on Facebook. But there should be ways to maybe change the overall thumbnail. But for now, you're going to get this generic one with your profile picture and the link there. All right, so next up, let's talk about adding additional events or editing previous events. So that's the one that's scheduled for next Thursday. Let's say we want to schedule another one. So we go back to the schedule for later tab. We go into our, say, pages, and this one we could schedule for, say, our ScreenFlow one. And this one would be, I can even do ScreenFlow webinar. How to create an effective video sales letter, right? So that's the webinar I mentioned. We could do this. This won't actually be streamed on Facebook, but sign up at telestream.net/events, right? That's a great way. You can go there, hit tab, and we can choose a place for this case. So it's actually going to be happening in Nevada City in the web studio here. This time, because it's on a page, you'll see you have options for, say, ambient streaming, right? Or an ambient is if you were going for 24 hours. We're not going to be doing that for this, but you'll see that's just to show you that different things change. Hit OK, or hit schedule, when you're ready. And that schedules that event. So now, and if you don't want that notification to pop up every time, just click the don't show me or don't show me again option. All right, so now we have multiple events scheduled, right? And depending on what page or profile, you'll see, if we go to groups, it'll show you what I have scheduled there. If we head back to pages, it'll show you what you have scheduled there. So actually going to refresh. And hold on, it's having trouble creating that event. Hit OK. Well, let's try this again. Let's create that live event one more time. All right, so it did return this. That's good. We've got the go live now, which I actually don't want to do. I want to do schedule for later. I'm going to choose this. Maybe it was my time that was a bad choice there. So let's go back to Thursday. We'll make this also at 11 a.m. I'm going to choose the ScreenFlow page. There we go. ScreenFlow page. Hit schedule. Should return. All right, hit OK. Boom, there we go. All right, well, in theory, that was scheduled. Now, there should be a way to see each one, but what I want to show you is how to edit one. So if I go to the next Thursday stream, the 9 a.m. one, if I need to change that for any reason, maybe what's going on here, scheduled for supposed to be a group one. Perhaps I need to change it to Thursday. Maybe I'm trying to schedule two events at the same time on the same page. That could be my problem here. So if I change actually that original one, go back here and change this to next Thursday, and I change the time. Let's make it, 3 p.m. and let's make it on Wednesday, okay? And update the event. I probably shouldn't call it my next Thursday stream. I go to Wednesday. My next Wednesday stream. Join me. I can update it, and that should automatically create the new event. Now going back, if I want to create this schedule for later, Thursday 11 a.m., let's try scheduling this one, see if that likes it a little better. Maybe we can schedule that for, say, the Telestream page. All right, I'm just going to do this. Hit OK. All right, and for some reason it's not rescheduling that. That's okay. Perhaps it's something going on with the way my internet's working right here. I'm always a little suspicious of this particular demo machine. In that event, you should be able to schedule multiple events on multiple time periods. So just be aware that you can also go back and edit them. And, you know, if we log out and log back in, hit OK here. Let's go back, log out, output settings, go to Facebook, change this. Let's do, grab that. We can go here. Gonna enter my password. And all right, so I've relogged in. Still oddly enough not showing me this new one, but I don't know, guys. I'm not sure why that's not working. But that's the demo gods. They are fickle sometimes. We can try to stream just my profile. We can schedule one for later. I can call it my stream. I can make it public. I can schedule on Facebook, 11 a.m. Thursday. Boom. All right. So the ScreenFlow one, for some reason, did not show up, but this one had no problems. Perhaps it had something to do with the characters I chose when I did my colon or something like that. So that's no problem. Now you're seeing all of them. If I need to change the time around, I've got all my events. Dude, let's make another one. Let's go for it again. Let's try another one. Let's do a ScreenFlow one. Make it to ScreenFlow. And I'm going to set it for Saturday. And I'm going to set it for 1 p.m. And I'm going to hit schedule. There we go. Well, it's not showing up there. Isn't that odd? Huh. So something about scheduling the ScreenFlow page isn't working. I don't know why that is. That seems particularly odd to me. Go back here, go to ScreenFlow, a ScreenFlow stream, schedule for later, 1 p.m. on Saturday, and hit schedule. Maybe let's go see if it shows up on our ScreenFlow page here. I go back to Safari, jump over to my ScreenFlow page. All right, well, there it is. So it is getting scheduled. In fact, multiple ones are getting scheduled, but they're not popping back up into the Wirecast events page. And I'll have to figure out why that is. I wonder if it's, for some reason, some pages will pull back in and others don't. My profile scheduled just fine. The groups one scheduled just fine, but perhaps pages are a little bit different. All right, guys, that's the basic gist of editing. If you find that you have issues with, if you are also experiencing an issue where you can't get your multiple events to come in, I would be curious to know, because they're showing up on Facebook, no problem. They're not showing up so much on the list inside Wirecast when I mix that. Now, I had no problems going to a verified page. I scheduled multiple events, actually on my profile now that I think of it, but public pages may be a little different. It may be a little bit, I'll have to look into that. I'll have an update for you next show if there's something you need to know about that. Another update I should let you know about, this 7.4 release, typically if you had a, so if you had a shot here in, we could add this guy. You had a shot here, and then you added, say, something like second camera here. I'll do it here in this shot. Go and add, say, a little media file. And we'll go to pictures. Grab this logo here. All right, so let's say you had this image here. And we have this shot here, right? Normally, you could use the space bar to change that camera angle. If I hit space bar, it would use smooth. If I hit return, it would do cut. But those, with 7.4, that doesn't work anymore because there was a bug introduced there that we're fixing for the next update. So if you used to rely on space bar and return a lot in your streams, then you may want to stay on 7.3 if that's really important to you. You still, of course, can take it live by creating, going into auto live and using a hotkey. You can also use the Command G key. That still works just fine. So you just need to make sure you manually select which transition you want selected. So Command G still works, no problem. But if spacebar and return are important to you, just be aware that was a new bug that was introduced. They're aware of it and they've fixed it already, actually. So okay, that is my updates for you guys for 7.4 with Facebook scheduling and editing previously scheduled ones. You could also, of course, delete them if you just change your mind. Let's go back here. I'm going to show you that real fast. Output settings. And you can just delete whichever ones you're not planning on streaming for. So if we go here, you can hit the delete button. It's that easy. And that should disappear from here, and we can delete this other one. Boom. They're gone. Disappeared. Okay. That's basically it. If you need to do the schedule for later, then that's where you're going to edit stuff. You will see your last entered text there in case there's something you needed to do or keep that text there. But don't forget that if you are you're updating an event, if this button says update event versus schedule event, then you're updating, you're not making a new event. So be aware. That's the basically simple tricks. Hope that was helpful for you guys. And I will take questions if you have any questions. Looks like Trevor's been busy in the background answering questions. I do. It is interesting how quickly I can find a bug sometimes when I'm doing a live demo. I swear, I think I should do all testing live and in front of other people, because that will be the time that you find something that may be wrong. I don't know if the scheduling to a profile page is specifically a bug, or it's just something that I'm doing incorrectly. I will, again, look into that. All right. How long will it take to get the next update for the bug fix with spacebar? I don't have a date on that. It is already fixed in the build, but it just depends on how much else they need to fit into that release. So it could be quite quick, could be a month or two. If you have, it's a good question. Let's update to 7.4, and my shortcuts didn't work. Yep, that's exactly what we're talking about. That bug has been noticed and caught. On YouTube, I'm wondering if there's any other questions there I should take. Looks like we'll go to the current one. Is there a complete tutorial for me to use to do the complete setup and stream for Wirecast or any videos? Yeah, let me enter that in. You can go to the website, to telestream.net/Wirecast. and you can click on the resources page. That's where you're going to find the best tutorials and videos. So I can send you there. I'll post that into the YouTube stream there. Hold on, let's try that again. Remove any web addresses, edit, and try again. Am I not allowed to post a web address in the YouTube comments? Looks like I'm not. So go to Telestream website. Click on resources. All right. That is the main way you can find other additional places. So I showed you there on the stream. Hopefully that if you have questions about that, but there's great videos here you can watch that can get you started. If that's it for today, folks, that's all the questions. I'm going to wrap it up. This has been another episode of Wirecast Live. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. You can watch all of our episodes on YouTube if you have lots of free time. Go back, learn tips and tricks. And, of course, you can always find us live here on Facebook, 2:30 Pacific Time on Thursdays. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to tune in next week. New Blue live titler. I'll be talking about how to create professional graphics playlists with your Wirecast software with Travis White. And we will be making those templates available to you guys. So check that out. It's going to be a good one. All right. I look forward to you. I'll see you next week. I look forward to seeing you next week. And thanks for watching.